Hi everyone. I hope you can hear me well. Welcome from my side as well. Well, this is my office, so hope you like it. So, who am I? I'm Adrian Wilhelm. I am one of the product owners for the Better Tracking product. I was in the lucky situation that I was able to actually start this from scratch, this product, the tracking product. So I've been working on this, or we have been working on this for the last 3.5 years. And the idea was to establish a tracking experience in parcel deliveries that is similar and was evolving from these Uber experiences that you have, like this immediate live tracking experience, right? And this is what I'm going to talk about today with you, is the predictive analytics in real-time tracking. And I will dive more into the last mile tracking. So it's not about the whole journey of the tracking experience, is really last mile. So from the morning the parcel was loaded to the vehicle until it arrives to your home, right? So we're looking into tours or routes, depending on where you're from. So the delivery tour or route is what I'm focusing a lot on today. And consignees and recipients of the parcel is also something that I may use both, but it's the same thing, right? So let's get started. So I will give you a short introduction about tracking. I will talk about user expectations a lot, or not a lot, but a bit. I will dive into our Better Tracking product, and then I will use most of the time to explain to you a little bit how we use AI in our product. So, what is real-time tracking? Well, I hope that's clear for everyone. But it allows recipients or consignees to monitor their parcels in real time on the day of delivery. And ideally, they have a correct estimated time of arrival, which is sort of like the most important piece of information for the consignee. This is, all of those, or some of those at least. This is where this tracking experience is evolving from, and it's also more and more important in terms of parcel deliveries, right? Here you order your Uber, you wait, you know exactly it's there in 20 minutes, you can follow the vehicle live on the map, and then boom, it just arrives where you are, right? This is still not the case with parcel deliveries, and I will tell you a little bit why that is. But first, how does those work? Well, I think they are relatively easy. Don't want to insult anyone here from Uber, but well, usually there is a ride acceptance or a food preparation, let's say, or packing the food, groceries, whatever, and then there's the ride. So the ETA that we're facing here is the preparation time, acceptance time, and driving time. Well, that sounds easy, right? This is how it looks for parcel deliveries. They have a very similar approach in look and feel, but there's a huge difference in understanding this ETA. What is the big difference? What do you think? The duration of the tour, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I think that's the bigger one, right? So we have the sorting, we have the tour setup and loading the vehicle. Obviously, the tracking experience already starts there. But I think what is really, really the more tricky part is we have a lot of stops, a lot. We have up to 200 stops, depending where we are. And the ETA is the tour setup, of course. Driving time to waypoint 1, service time. So taking the parcel the stairs to up and so on, and then waypoint 2, service time. Waypoint 3, service time. So to understand the ETA of a single parcel at the very end of this tour, well, that's a little bit more tricky. Let's dive into how we try to tackle this, right? So, but first, what does the user want? We did many surveys, 5 in total in one study with more than 5,000 recipients. Time of arrival was always number 1. So no question, there's really no mistake that time of arrival, the ETA, is the most relevant information that the users want. They want other things. They want drop-off permissions. They want the vehicle position. They want to have a fun experience even. Some said that. But time of arrival is what we're focusing on, and also what we're focusing a lot in our work. Why? Well, they want to receive the parcel usually in person, and they're even willing to change their plans according to a tracking product. So they might change the time when they want to go shopping to a supermarket or take out the dog earlier or later, right? Depending on the real-time tracking of the parcel. So this is really what the users want. But then there's 3 phases in your tracking experience as well for your users, right? So in the morning, you have received your first initial email or whatever, SMS, stating, hey, live tracking is available, or you already have an ETA with this SMS, and then your tracking journey starts. What does the users do? Well, they do their rough day planning. So they consider, oh, the parcel arrives in the afternoon, so I go shopping now in the morning, or the other way around, right? Things like that. Later that day, they keep on tracking 5 times in your examples. For us, it's even a little bit more. It's more like 8 times. And they align the activities and they align the schedule according to that. And then the moment of truth, right? They're waiting for their iPhone, right? They want to receive this parcel in person. So this moment of delivery and this last minutes of their tracking experiences are becoming super important for the users, and they really want this to be perfect, right? They want to be wait in front of the house sometimes even. I did this. That happened to me personally. Like I was doing a tour with a delivery driver, and there was this boy waiting for his graphic card or whatever, with the smartphone in his hand tracking the parcel. So this is the 3 phases, and we want to cover all of them in a perfect way. But what is important here, well, here, a 2, 3, 4 hour time window is sufficient. At the end, this number 3, excitement and perfect handover, you want 15 minutes, maybe even 5 minutes of precision. That's the tricky part here. And then how do the others do this? Well, some of them, they do it, but I think the relevance of the ETA is not as great, right? So this example here, I don't know if you know the company behind that, it tells you, well, it arrives until 10 o'clock. Oh, great. I cannot plan anything. It arrives not later than 10. All right, cool. Even better is that one. It arrives between 0 and 24 hours later. But the good part is they're right, at least if it's the same day of delivery. How do we do this? I hope a little bit better. We have narrowing ETA time windows. We have vehicle live position, at least from a certain moment in time on. We have live updates. And we have customizations, such like a drop-off permission, delivery to neighbor, timeframe upgrades. We're working on that. And yeah, so we are trying to cover these 3 phases quite well here. So now the nerdy part. AI. So to set the stage here, there's more, I know, but we have 2 different types of tours, let's say. We have navigated tours, or tours where we at least have a GPS position and a little bit more, and we have offline tours. Navigated tours, ideally with Bettermile, so we really have a navigation screen in the vehicle, and every waypoint is on that. Some users or some drivers use Google Waze here, whatever, right? And we have simply offline tours where we have nothing, except for the driver has pen and paper, but there's no digital device on the tour, right? And what is the data flow with navigated tours now? So we start with the loading list and the parcel information. This is something we usually have and we usually need via API, via webhooks. We get this from the couriers. Then we have a planned sequence, again, ideally with better route, but it doesn't matter. We have some sort of planned sequence. And then that's the key, the backbone of our service with ETAs, vehicle position, and live updates of those 2 things, right? And then we have the parcel deliveries. And but with this, no. And this is the basis for our tracking product. But we don't have 1 tour with 1 device. We have many of those. Well, it's usually drivers, so people, human beings, driving those vehicles. And they're not always following this sequence, not as we hoped, at least. So this is the very first AI prediction that we're doing here is the fidelity. So the fidelity of those users using those navigation device, and fidelity means like, do they follow this suggested sequence? Yes or no? So some people just have a device but put it in a glove box and just do whatever they want. It's really happening. So here we make it rather simple. We have a high fidelity a medium fidelity, and a low fidelity. Well, with high fidelity, it's fairly easy. We have a perfect tracking experience on our hands because we know every single ETA and we know it's correct because the driver is using the navigation tool. Hence, all of the ETAs by the navigation tool, if it works correctly, are fine. With the medium fidelity, well, it's not as good anymore, but it's still solid. Where we don't maybe give out a 15-minute or 5-minute ETA time window, but rather like 30 minutes, still good enough. Low fidelity, well, I will come back to that one later. But that's not all. So now we know it's a high or medium fidelity tour. So yeah, we have some understanding if the driver is following the sequence, yes or no. But on top of that, we have another AI model which uses a lot of variables, dimensions of this specific tour, such as the type of area where the driver is going. Is it an industrial area, rural area? Is it a city? Whatever it is, right? Different countries have different drive patterns. What is the density of the tour? So is this just one little borough that the driver is delivering to, or is it like 15 little villages and there's like 10 kilometers between each village? Traffic is another topic that we consider here in our models. And then, of course, the average speed of the tour, the average service time of the driver, the average breaks that the driver takes, usually none, but that's a different story. And then that gives us our perfect, hopefully, ETA time window. Offline tours, well, the data flow is different, right? As you probably guessed. We still have a loading list, we still have the parcel information. We may have a planned sequence, which is a fixed one though, so it's something that happened before. There's different names for this. Basically, it's pen and paper. This is the first parcel you deliver, this is the second, and so on, right? And then we have the parcel deliveries. We usually get those status events also via APIs and webhooks. What we don't have is ETAs, vehicle position, and live updates. So again, what to do here? Well, the answer is, of course, we have a crystal ball. Jokes aside, no, we actually have a sequence prediction. That's the second AI tool we're using here, actually the third. And we have, our ETA prediction on top of that. And that gives us actually, again, hopefully a perfect ETA time window. So even though this driver is completely without any digital help, it's really driving with pen and paper, we're still able to create a tracking experience, a live tracking experience even. So, yeah. How do we measure our success then? Well, first of all, if the tours drive with Bettermile, we have a very high fidelity. So 90% of the tours driving with the core or with one of the core products from Bettermile have a medium or high tour fidelity, meaning they actually follow our suggested sequence. And our predictions are pretty good. So 87%, more or less, of all of those prediction models have a that's the success rate of those predictions, right? So close to 90%, which is pretty good. Even the smaller ones, even the 15-minute ones, we usually predict quite correct. And we have tons of users already. And the average star rating here is 4.2 out of 200,000 ratings. So I think, are we the best? I don't know. I just looked up the comments where it said best in all of the countries. So yes. What's the footprint? Well, we last year just started 2024, so we did a big look back into what we have achieved last year. So we have analyzed 2.1 million tours, navigated tours, so tours driving with any sort of navigation tool, 1 million offline delivery tours, where we only work with our prediction models. And then we, in total, had 80 million users tracking their parcels on our front ends, on our widgets, on our tracking APIs, whatever, with in total 150 million clicks. That happened in total of 11 countries. So not quite there where Dana and her company is, but we're getting there, hopefully, at one point. And the customized deliveries is 1 million that we have achieved, which I'm pretty proud of because I think that's actually helping the drivers quite a bit. And yeah, so challenge accepted, I would say.
Thanks, Adrian. That was really exciting. I would take a question here from the audience first.
Hi, can you hear me well? Okay,
Yeah.
so just on the hardware side, so this year there are rumors that phones would possibly get edge AI as well as multimodal AI that can help in possible, let's say, scenarios. Has your team or the company been exploring this in terms of either helping the drivers or the customer as well? So for example, if it's multimodal AI, if the customer allows taking pictures or any type of media that can feed the phone and hence enhance the experience, or even with respect to drivers, whether the tracking can improve.
Do you mean the drivers, or do you mean
No, the hardware. So for example, because the iPhone is going, or rather rumored to have Edge AI, the new one. So do you see potential in that helping your company as well?
Well, I guess if this enhancing the navigated tours, yes. I think if this is really helping like the driver maneuver better through his day, I think that would be helpful. And then the data that we get as a tracking product is sort of like the afterthought of this, or the aftermatch of this. But yeah, potentially this could definitely help us. I haven't, to be honest, thought about that yet, because this is not our turf so much. We don't use any hardware in our product. Our product is really only collecting data and then making a tracking experience out of this with the data that we have, basically, and then using AI in order to achieve that, because sometimes we have to use AI to predict sequences, and then to predict the ETA time windows that we hope that the parcel will be delivered. So the AI is already, we don't need hardware. We have the software part of that we're covering that on the software part, let's say. I hope that answers your question, though.
I have another question here.
Hi, thank you very much for the presentation. I wonder whether you have any data on the impact of these wrong predictions. Is it better to have a wrong prediction or to not have a prediction at all in these cases?
Really good question. We can live with wrong predictions, but we don't want to show wrong predictions to our users, because like a wrong information in terms of a tracking product is really the worst you can get. Because as you saw, users and consignees are really planning their days. So if this information is wrong, we are screwed. And we like 4.2 means there are people complaining, otherwise it would be 5 out of 5. And whenever they complain, they exactly complain about that. So we're really, really cautious when it comes to our predictions, and trying to be very, very cautious about those, right? So we only consider like where we are to a certain degree very sure. So predictions where we think, we'd rather drop them under the table, we have them, but we don't show them to the users.
I would take one more question. I had one here. Can you hand that through, please?
Thank you. Yeah, Claudio from the company Ridergy. Yeah, actually, I was one of these. I didn't complain, but I checked, I think, 4 times, so I kind of the statistics was right. I did it only once, and there's only one time. I'm not sure if it was your system or any other system, but in any case, it was like predicting in the morning, and then at the end, I was planning my day. So exactly like you said, and then the afternoon it came, and I was unhappy. So I was wondering, what are the reasons where the predictions are wrong? What are the biggest challenges you're facing there?
Well, the biggest challenge is the human factor, right? This is something we can't control. AI can be so smart, but if the driver decides to, I don't know, like go to McDonald's and have a longer lunch break, and then the McDonald's is on the other side of the city, then everything is screwed up, right? People do personal things during their tours, visiting their grandmas, whatever it is, these type of factors is we cannot control.
Yes, one last question, sorry.
Hi, everyone. Quick question. Imagine the driver is a new driver. He is not experienced, so we can expect that the fidelity is low. He is not following the sequence too much. So, okay, but we have 2 machine learning models. We are catching up. We're showing something. But then time goes by. The driver becomes more experienced, and now he follows that. So now it would be better if we treat it as a driver with a high fidelity, but the model now thinks that this guy is a guy with a low fidelity, and the output would be that, okay, the ETA window is a little bit too high.
Yeah.
Do you take it into consideration and retrain the model with the time, or if not, then consider starting doing this?
That's a really good question. Your assumption is wrong. Usually the untrained drivers follow the sequence much better than the trained drivers, because the trained drivers know everything in and out, and then they have their own ideas. And of course, yeah, so we do this live, actually. So we understand during the day, during the tour, if this tour is falling into our prediction models or not. And then we understand if we actually start a tracking experience for the concernees or not, like live during the day, not in all cases, but in many. And we train the models constantly. So we like constantly retraining the models with the data. It's also seasonal data that we need to consider here. Load data, so now it's a rather low season in terms of parcel deliveries, high season, peak season before Christmas. We need to train the model in different ways and or with the different data, let's say with the data of the peak season and not with the data of a low season. Yeah, so we do this constantly.
Yeah, but I really like the challenge of fidelity discrimination of drivers due to AI. So we should treat them fairly.
Yeah.
Thanks, Adrian.